gravel road that runs around the bottom of that ski hill. So they'll be contending with the gravel a little bit more than the other races did, and take them a bit longer to get to that hill. So they won't cut through the forest. A hill that
they will be running up twice.
That's right. They won't cut back around the forest the way that we've seen with the other races. And Adam, this gravel road that they're going to run on shortly is my old stomping grounds. I think I know just about every up and down, every divot, every sort of turn of that road, because it was where I did a lot of my training over the years, starting in high school and then continuing through my post-collegiate career. So it's fun to watch these runners testing themselves out on that same course under, again, skies that have held off so far, which is great.
That's Stephanie Bertram in the middle of this lead pack right now, the second place finisher in last year's senior girls race. He's representing Lawrence Park Collegiate. As you mentioned, Kate, no defending champion in this race last year as Gabby Jones has graduated. So no surprise to see Bertram up near the front early on.
And Adam, this is where they're going to, again, they cross over that gravel road. And this is going to be the first time that they get a glimpse of this hill. Again, they're going to go up it much more quickly than the other routes, than the other courses did. So they'll have it early on in the race, and then they'll do some running on the flat throughout the park, crisscrossing sort of in a figure-8 style, and then they'll come back and have to contest again this nasty incline. But getting to it within the first kilometer here, and I'm not surprised to see them a bit more bunched up as they head into this hill for the first go.
In this perspective from this camera just really shows you just how steep this hill is. There's Bertram also in the mix up there. Emily Chesin, the green top there with number 1018. In the mix, Hannah Hollins.
Hannah Hollins was 9th in the senior cross-country championships last year, but she has had a really strong season. She won the OFSAA championships just a couple of weeks ago, and also just missed out on the medal tables with a 4th place finish in the senior 1500 meter at last spring's OFSAA track championships. And looking to improve on that for Dunbarton High School.
Group of 4 now leading this senior girls race. Amongst them, Emily Chesin, Stephanie Bertram, and Hannah Hollins.
I have a feeling, Adam, that that may just be Muriel Lovshin to the far right of your screen on the outside there. Again, she was 3rd in this race last year, 4th in 2021 as a junior, but went on to represent Canada at the U20 World Cross Country Championships in Australia in February. She placed 44th individually there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see her up sticking her nose in the action at the front of this pack. 4 of them running basically 4 abreast right now, which surprises me a little bit because, as I mentioned, the footing can be quite uneven coming down this hill.
Well, Lovshin on the outside looks like she's getting the worst of the footing right now, sort of on the softer part of that gravel path. Now she's moved a little more into the middle. Stephanie Bertram with the ever so slight lead. Emily Chesin just off to her right. Kate, if you're Bertram, the second place finisher last year, the defending champion, can't defend this year because they've graduated. Is the mindset for her, this is my year, this is my race?
Well, again, certainly as a second-year senior, you're at a somewhat of an advantage because you've had that more time to develop. You've gotten used to racing the longer distance of the 6K, and of course, you're hungry for it. I think that will be on the minds of all of these young women, knowing that there is that title up for grabs. And we should say that Bertram, another athlete who's had a great season, she won the Toronto District School Board Championships last week by over 45 seconds ahead of second place finisher Morgan Yeoman. So another dominant victory for her in a very competitive region. So she'll be coming in knowing that she's right at the top of her game and capable of quite a bit. And she's looking very relaxed right now. Our two leaders, although it is a pack of four, that's Chesin and Bertram side by each. And then Lovshin taking that place on the far right, just choosing the grass over the gravel. And if I were her, I think I would be doing the same. You just can be a little more certain of your footing on that grassy section in spikes. But Holland's doing a good job of holding on too. I think that Bertram and Chesin are looking pretty comfortable just keeping the pace steady. And these athletes know they have that hill to work on again at another point in this race. So I'm not surprised to see that no one has sort of broken away at this early stage.
That was a tight corner there for Love. She made a little contact with the rope, but appears to be all right. No one giving an inch right now in this lead pack of four.
So this is where they've cut the course a bit short so they can come back through the middle of the park. So this is where I mean that figure eight style. So rather than continuing along that gravel section for the length of the back part of the park, they're going to cut through the middle into this spectator-friendly segment. For reference, the start line is about 200 meters in front of them and to left of screen. So they'll be coming back across where they started and then go out and do the perimeter of the forest the way the other divisions did earlier on in their race.
And it'll have to contend with that hill one more time. It's Chesin, Hollins, Bertram, and Lovshin in this lead pack of four. No one making a move in this pack yet. Kate, when would you expect to see one of these athletes try and break from this lead group?
Well, it's a good question, Adam. And you know, at this point in the race, they're not quite halfway through. They've already had to go up the hill once. They know that there's a lot of running left to go. And I think, again, we know that all four of these athletes are very capable. They have a good mix of speed and strength. I think right now it does appear to be Bertram and Chesin who look most relaxed, sort of controlling the pace up front. But if I were one of these athletes, I think going into that hill, I would want to make sure that I felt pretty good going into that hill the second time, and that would be where I would want to try to really squeeze everything I could out of the runners behind me.
And there's a chase pack of 4 or 5 behind this lead four, but they're not that far off. So perhaps one of that group tries to make a charge and join this lead pack. That'll be something to keep an eye on as well, as it's Bertram and Chesin now at the front of our lead four. Good work by Hollins and Lovshin to keep with them.
I should mention that I've been speaking about Muriel Lovshin being a Team Canada competitor at the World Cross Country Championships. She was 44th in that race overall, and she was joined actually by Emily Chesin, who was part of that U20 race in Australia. She was only 2 places behind Lovshin, placing 46th overall. So we know that she's got the strength from the cross country course, but she's also got the speed of the 1500. She won the Canadian U20 1500 meter title. And again, several OFSAA medals in the 800 and 1500. So again, not surprised to see her up front. She was the junior girls winner back in 2021. Very strong, capable athlete. She's a swimmer as well. Got a lot of tools to draw from. And she looks very calm up there with Bertram.
Well, perhaps thankfully for her and the other competitors today, it hasn't been too wet and mucky, so she hasn't had to use those swimming skills. Of course, it's held up quite nicely. This is the 6th race of the day. So it continues to be Chesin and Bertram leading the lead group, and right behind them, Lovshin and Hollins. And then there is a chase pack behind them of 4 to 5 athletes, but they really haven't been able to make up much ground.
Well, that's not entirely surprising, Adam, because again, this group, of course, Bertram and Lovshin, as we mentioned, 2nd and 3rd last year at the senior level. Chesin, a 2nd-year senior as well, was the winner of the junior girls race back in 2021. And then Hollins, 9th in the senior race last year. So these 4 are a year older than the girls who are running behind them. And so again, a year more of development, a year more of racing against each other, especially not only the OFSAA season, the OFSAA scene, but the Canadian and World U20 scene. And now the 4 of them taking this hill for the 2nd and thankfully last time. The race is really on at this point, Adam.
Gonna look at some of the names in that chase pack right now. Got Ava Morick involved there. Sophia Sino. Maria Linton as well.
And again, we're sort of seeing the separation between these 2 packs correlate with their ages. So we've got those 2nd-year seniors in the quartet up front. And then, as you mentioned, the likes of Morick and Duma, who were 1st and 2nd respectively in the junior race last year, giving good chase. So to Chino, who was 4th as a senior last year. But that separation has really continued to grow. And now it is a 2-woman race up front with Bertram and Chesin stride by stride.
They have broken away. Bertram, the 2nd place finisher in the senior girls race last year. Chesin, the junior girls winner 2 years ago. And it is Chesin with the ever so slight lead. I have to imagine that's going to seesaw back and forth as they make their way down the hill.
And from this point, Adam, they'll be running the same back half of this course that we've seen from the novice and the junior races. So once they get to the bottom of this hill, they've got less than, well, just about 2K to go. So that's a good place to start making a move if you want to make a long push from home. 2/3 of the way into this thing. And these 2, again, have raced each other quite a bit on the OFSAA and Canadian scene, so they'll know each other's strengths and weaknesses. They'll know when they need to trust their gut and make that move. And of course, they'll be getting some feedback on course from the coaches too, but working really well together at this point with, like I said, about 2/3 of the race done.
Well, it's certainly shaping up to be an entertaining finish here in the senior girls race, the 2023 OFSAA Cross Country Championships. They're still shoulder to shoulder. Chesin in the green, Bertram in the blue. Chesin representing De La Salle College. Well, Stephanie Bertram is from Lawrence Park Collegiate Institute.
We mentioned that both of these runners excellent on both the cross-country course and the track. And I know Chesin's got some great speed. However, we should keep in mind that Bertram has a devastating closing kick. She's a great 800-meter runner. She was 4th in the OFSAA 800-meter last year and then went on to win a silver medal at the NACAC U18 championships in the 800 just a couple of months ago. So if I'm Chesin, I know in the back of my mind I can't necessarily leave it to a late kick.
Both competitors still looking very comfortable in their stride, going stride for stride right now. Stephanie Bertram trying to move up one place on the podium from last year. She was the silver medalist in the senior girls race in 2022. Chesin looking to get back on top of the podium where she found herself in the junior girls race back in 2021. As you mentioned, Kate,
Adam,
both of these athletes, sorry, just have a good finishing kick. Perhaps maybe you give the edge there to Bertram, but Chesin's also got some speed.
She sure does, and I was going to say, we're starting to see this a little bit now. I think that Chesin just looks a bit more relaxed than Bertram does. Some of it's the difference in their running form and style, but you can see how little head movement there is by Chesin. She's really strong and she's upright, good arm carriage, whereas Bertram behind just looks like she's having to expend a bit more energy to try to go at this pace. And well, in the space of however many seconds it took for me to make that statement, there's been a significant gap open up here. And I think Emily Chesin's really taking advantage of some of these turns to, just like I said in the junior boys race, put an extra step on Bertram behind her.
And you mentioned this a little earlier in the race. Chesin knows just how good Bertram's closing speed is. So would you imagine this is part of her race plan, knowing that I'm going to have to make a move perhaps a little before we're 800 meters left to go?
I think that's exactly what we're seeing here. And like I said, sometimes if you just sense that your competitor is starting to struggle a little bit with 1,500 meters or so left to go in a race like this, even if you're not feeling great yourself, if you can just psychologically put some pressure on the competitor behind you, it can do enough that, you know, they just falter ever so slightly and you can keep riding that momentum forward. And that's what we're seeing right now. Look at the distance that Emily Chesin has opened up on Bertram behind her. And she knows that she's not got much running left now. We're inside a kilometer to go. We're now just about 800 meters to go. She'll do these two little switchbacks like we saw with the other races, crest that small berm, and then run for home. And at this point, it really looks like Emily Chesin has this thing wrapped up.
Form still looking strong. You don't see really any distress on her face as she has broken away from Stephanie Bertram. It's been a great 2023 for Chesin. As you mentioned, Kate, she went to the World Cross Country Championships down in Australia, ran the U20 race, finished 46th. Good season on the track as well, second, 3,000 meters and 1,500 meters. And now she's looking to add another OFSAA cross-country title to her mantle. And her lead is just increasing.
Yeah, I think she really timed this race perfectly. She's actually ever increasing that stride. She's really picking it up now, and that's a smart thing to do, although she doesn't really have to because she's got enough of a buffer right now that I think it's unlikely anyone will be able to bridge that gap, but it just shows you how strong an athlete she is. She worked hard from the beginning, but paced herself, didn't go out too hard. was able to control from the front, and now this turnover is what speaks volumes about a really capable cross-country athlete. She'll enjoy this final downhill and then hopefully is able to celebrate along this long push to the finish chute.
There was a bit of a look back over her left shoulder. It almost seemed cursory. I think she knows that she's got a healthy lead right now as she's into the final straightaway. She can see the finish line. Emily Chesin pulled away. They've been running with Stephanie Bertram for much of this race. Pulled away with about a kilometer or so to go, a little over that. And she has her sights set on another OFSAA cross-country championship now. And she is going to break the tape. Emily Chesin is the senior girls OFSAA cross-country champion for 2023. And here comes Stephanie Bertram, so she will finish second for the second year in a row. And that is Hannah Hollins finishing in third. Muriel Lovshin will cross in fourth place. Sophia Sino will finish fifth. And a good finish there by Anna Duma. There's Ava Morit crossing for seventh. Morgan Yeomans across for eighth. Leaside High School. Marie Linden from Cobourg takes ninth place. And rounding out the top 10 is Cora Henderson from Curtis. So a 21:25.91 finishing time for Chesin to take the gold. Bertram threw in 21:34.71 for silver. And Hannah Hollins 21:39.20 for bronze.
And another set of really fabulous times. Last year, Gabby Jones took the victory in this race in 22:12. This year, Emily Chesin runs almost 45 seconds faster than that to claim victory. And then Bertram, as you mentioned, repeats her silver medal, but has a nice improvement on the time as well. 22:15 last year, 21:33 this year.
You see the good finishing kicks here, just trying to score as many points as possible for their respective teams. And we will keep an eye as the team scores are tabulated.
Well, a new winner in this senior girls race this year in the form of Emily Chesin, and she'll get that shiny medal put around her neck by the woman who made history a few years ago, Cameron Ormond, becoming the first person ever to win all years of high school cross country at OFSAA. The four-peat had never been done and hasn't been done since. Again, Ormond is now a standout at the University of Guelph and has represented Canada several times on the international scene. She'll be handing out the awards along with another Team Canada member, Jazz Shukla, who was the 2012 OFSAA Novice Girls 5th place finisher. And again, has gone on to represent Canada several times at the highest level.
And Jazz Shukla, she had a great 2023. Saw a lot of her at the on the Canadian circuit this year. And we're starting to get our team scores in. So the team champion in the senior girls race, the team from Vincent Massey Secondary School, they score 128 points with finishes of 22nd, 23rd, 29th, and 54th. That is our only team score right now, but we know that they are the champions.
And that's a great spread, Adam, to have your athletes finish so close to one another. That indicates to me that they really worked well as a team out on course. And like I said, there's something psychologically helpful about being able to have eyes on your teammates as you're pounding out the grass and the gravel and the hills here at Centennial Park. So congratulations to the team out of Vincent Massey.
And second place in the team competition goes to Malvern Collegiate Institute. They scored 202 points thanks to finishes of 21st, 44th, 63rd, and 74th. And I want to speak about consistency. Their fifth place athlete, 76th.
And that's a nice victory for them. They came off a win at the TD Championships last week, scoring 48 points. So Malvern was one of our teams to watch, and they've been able to bring that to fruition here at the OFSAA Championships with very strong finishes.
And rounding out the top three in the team competition, it's Northern Secondary School. They finished with 294 points, thanks to finishes of 43rd, 54th, 81st, and 116th.
Well, in the end, Adam, it was 9 seconds that separated Emily Chesin from Stephanie Bertram. And again, great running by both of these young women, but pretty incredible to think that those 9 seconds all happened within about the last kilometer of this race, if not less. So that goes to show you exactly what kind of turnover Emily Chesin had in the closing meters of this race.
It went from a lead pack of 4 to a lead pack of 2 to Emily Chesin running away with things in the final kilometer to take the senior girls championship. She can add that now to her junior girls championship from 2 years ago. And not just a name you hear about when it comes to cross country, also a very good season on the track for the De La Salle college student.
Another shout out to our hardworking volunteers who are acting as athlete wranglers across the finish line. I know that's not always the easiest or cleanest job, but they're doing a great work to keep everyone safe and keep things moving on time. And we should take a moment to thank again, not only the volunteers, but our conveners of OFSAA this year and the host region, the Toronto District School Board Athletic Association.
Wranglers and in some case catchers of athletes, as they're giving it their all to the line, and when they hit that line, then just that energy is gone.
You know, Adam, the thing about having to run that hill twice is that it's almost impossible not to leave everything out on this course. Because once that lactic accumulates, it's really hard to clear it, even with that long downhill that follows. So I'm impressed by the closing speed that some of these runners are bringing across the line, because I know how hard they've worked out there already.
Now, when you took the OFSAA senior girls title back in 2005, was it a close finish, or did you have a chance to sort of take it, and had you opened up enough of a lead that you could enjoy it a bit?
Well, you know, it unfortunately was more than a few years ago, Adam, but my recollection of this was that I had, I think, what would be probably a fairly similar race to Emily Chesin out there. I mean, that's how I like to run. I like to work hard with the pack as long as I could, and then try to open things up in the final stages of the race. So I remember it kind of playing out similarly with some hills closer to the finish. So I think I allowed myself to get through those before I really turned down the gears. But again, that was such a special memory of my high school running days, one that I still think of fondly, and although it's not quite as clear in my mind as it was a couple years ago, I can still imagine myself out there on the course and appreciate how hard these girls are working, how hard all of these athletes are working, and what it feels like to, as we mentioned, whether you win or not, just to get to these OFSAA championships is a huge accomplishment individually and for your team. And, you know, even if you're not there with a team, you're still representing your school, which is so special. A lot of these athletes will go on to the Canadian cross country championships, as we mentioned, in 3 weeks' time on the 25th, and we'll be covering those championships as well here on ACTV. But that is typically a place where they'll run with and for their club. So this is sort of the last hurrah of the high school season where these runners can take home some glory for their school.
And for some of these senior girls, it'll be the last time they run cross country for their high schools. Many of them will be graduating this school year.
Well, and that's right, Adam. So that means that next year we'll have yet another senior girls winner.
More than 260 athletes taking part in this senior girls race. The penultimate race of the day here at the 2023 OFSAA Cross Country Championships. Gwendolyn Heffernan crossing the line there. It was Harper Gunderson. This is Audrey LePage. Coming in now, Nev Padulu. Remember the Havergal team from Toronto. Bella Verbeek from Nicholson crossing the line. Good hard charging finish there from Emily Ormston LaMarche from London South Collegiate Institute. And this is Caitlin McKelvey from Sir Olivia Mowat. Here's a look at Brooklyn Coville from Thousand Islands Secondary School. Thousand Islands, beautiful area of Ontario. And this is Asia Shams from Pickering. This is Sammy Hillier from Fort Francis. Muskies. Good close for her.